here.
So Brian asks, he wants to go for a multi-region active-active architecture, mostly to reduce the blast radius, so that if like East Coast, West Coast, one of the regions, is having severe degradation or outages, 100% of their company's not affected. Maybe just 50% or 20%, or depending on how many regions they operate in. On the other hand, as an enterprise B2B SaaS offering, they rely heavily on Wildcard DNS, which is, for example, you want to have acme.mybrand.com. Well, how do you support like a singular wildcard DNS record while having multi-region infrastructure, which is not load balance, which is not doing it for performance reasons? It's sharding. So you have basically the customer's data in one region or the other, but not both. So this is an interesting challenge for how to do that. And I can't say we've solved it strictly using a flat wildcard DNS, but I have a few ideas for you if you haven't looked into them yet. Let me pull up my notes on that. So the three ideas that I have for you, one would be looking into the AWS Global Load Balancer and manipulating routes programmatically so that certain tenants are going to different ALB ingresses. How you do that manipulation, yeah, that's going to be some custom coding. I don't have a easy answer for you on that. I did take a quick look, and it looks like global accelerators are compatible with ALB ingresses, so that would be one option.
That's actually the option that I think is my best way forward, is because that leaves, although it's not wildcard DNS, we don't need to often update the DNS record, because then that becomes static to the global accelerator endpoint. And then obviously you're gonna have some brains behind your deployment pattern to deploy the correct customer to the correct cluster in whichever region. So as long as you're deploying them to the correct region, then it should just work.
But so actually, I realized I was thinking like one of the reasons you were using wildcard DNS maybe was beyond just DNS, was also for like ACM certificates, but or TLS. But if you're using external DNS, AWS Route 53 is a global resource; it's not regional, and external DNS can manage that for you. So then you can have you can continue without the global load balancer and simply use external DNS to manage those, so long as you're deploying the service names or the host names correctly with your ingresses.
When you say external DNS, are you talking about like Cloudflare?
No. That's it's the dominant controller for managing DNS in Kubernetes. It's an operator. So the external DNS for Kubernetes operator works really well. We've been using it for like 4 years or something, or 3 years at least. It works with ingresses. It works with services. And it supports like every DNS provider under the sun.
Are you saying it routes from one Kubernetes cluster?
No. So this is, okay, so let's say you have acme.mycorp.com and then you got foobar.mycorp.com. But they are on two different clusters behind two different ALBs, but they're using the same zone. That zone is global in Route 53, so it works across regions. You have the external DNS controller deployed to both Kubernetes clusters, but you associate acme.mycorp.com with the ingress on the first cluster, and you associate foobar.mycorp.com on the other cluster. External DNS is provisioned with an IAM service account role, and then that allows it to talk to Route 53. It's constantly watching for changes to services and ingresses, and you add an annotation or actually you add an annotation to services, you maybe add an annotation, but to ingresses, it just looks at the host field and provisions a DNS record associated with that ingress automatically for you.
In Route 53.
In Route 53, yeah.
I see.
And what I like about this solution over the global accelerator is it's a whole lot easier just architecturally. And it eliminates one more layer of indirection there.
Yeah. That sounds like a great workaround. For us, we already have global accelerator in place, so it's not.
Oh, you do. So then you could use that then. Okay.
Exactly. It's not it. So like after I asked that question, actually, that was the solution I came up with shortly after, which I think is pretty good. Just because for us, the way because we manage our clusters like cattle, so do our load balancers go away pretty frequently too. So I didn't like the idea of having to update each customer's Route 53 record every time with the new ALB. But because the global accelerator allows it to be a static endpoint, we can just update the global accelerator, and that's just one update each time.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about DNS propagation, stale cache, all that stuff. So avoiding DNS manipulation for your customers is definitely advised. I wanted to recommend two other options. Just I know we solved it probably for your use case, but I think it's something that could come up for others, and I just wanted to throw those out there. So the other option is to do it at your WAF layer. If you're using Cloudflare or Fastly, you can use Cloudflare workers or Fastly, what is it called, VCL or something, to route to the backend based on a checksum of the host name, mod 2 or mod 3, how many regions you're operating in. So then based on that host name, you can optimistically route them to the backend or the region that they are in, which would be one option. And the last option would be another pretty straightforward option, which is just a regionalized wildcard domain. So you have like US West, or US East or Europe or things like that in the actual host name. And you can also proceed with a centralized redirector so that like when they log into perhaps just the top level domain or the non-regionalized domain, it redirects them to the regionalized domain. And that lets you bounce them around as you need to if you need to relocate them. But for your specific case, you have the global accelerator. Yeah, that's totally the right option.